Winston-Salem, North Carolina, the site for a matchup between two teams with big designs on March in the ACC. North Carolina State taking on Wake Forest next. These two teams each at 6-4 in a mix that is still trying to chase the top of the ACC, which is held down right now by number 24 Clemson, who is at 9-1 on the season. Hello everybody, Derek Jones and Perry Clark with you today. And Perry, as we get a look at this game, great matchup between two of the best offenses in the ACC.
Without question, it's going to be a really exciting game. Both of these two teams looking to make that push for March.
Terquavion Smith and Tyree Appleby, two of the top offensive players in the ACC, and they both look to lead their team successfully today.
You better hold on to your seats because both of these two guys can really score in a lot of exciting ways.
Two teams that can also share the basketball effectively. These two a big part of that.
Well, they're their leaders, and they get everybody else involved besides themselves scoring.
And as we get a look at the matchup on the floor, Terquavion Smith, a big key to their success this season, and Tyree Appleby at the controls here. The opening tap won by the Deacons of Wake Forest in the 168th meeting all time between Wake Forest and North Carolina State is off and running here at the Joel.
Both of these two teams really like spacing so they can create dribble penetration and also set up their three-point shooting.
The feed down low for Cameron Hildreth results in an offensive foul.
That's a big call because Hildreth is really one of the most improved players in the ACC and really important to this Wake Forest team. You don't ever like to see a player of that caliber pick up a cheap foul in the first minute of the game.
North Carolina State trying to continue their good vibes and mojo. Trying to win their sixth game in the last 7 tries, and a three-pointer from Terquavion Smith. They cannot let him get loose.
Smith can score from every spot on the floor.
Appleby, Hildreth, Monsanto, Carr, and Marsh, the 5 for the Deacons, as Monsanto gets fouled, and it looked like he was behind the line. Greg Gant may have got a piece of him.
Monsanto always is behind the line. His range is in the building. He's a really deep shooter, but one of the things that NC State does such a great job is defensively they can switch.
They're going to double check to see if Monsanto was indeed behind the line.
It looks like it. It looked like it. It was probably as close to the line as he's going to get today.
He is not afraid to fill it up from deep. He's a team leader in made threes.
And he plays so well within this lineup because, Wake has the big guys that they really play off of with Carr and Marsh, and those guys can rim run. They can also set screens. And then we got Appleby, who likes to push the ball. How would you like to be a point guard and have a shooter on one side of you and a driver on the other side of you? In transition, you're awful dangerous, and that's what this Wake Forest team offers up people when they come down in transition.
Wake Forest trying to rebound after a loss to Pitt on Wednesday, 81-79, as we get one more look at, wow. He may not be able to slide a credit card in between his foot and that line. That's tight.
That's really tight. One of the things the officials never ever came over and asked my opinion. They always told me. They're going with the 2.
So it will be just a 2-shot foul. The officials today, Ted Valentine, Tim Clockerty, and A.J. Desai.
That's a big-time crew we have here today.
Monsanto good on the first free throw attempt. 81% shooter from the line, but in part because he's such an active shooter from deep, Coach, he doesn't get a lot of trips to the free throw line.
No, he doesn't, and that's one of the things that three-point shooters sometimes suffer from because they don't get a chance to get to the line.
Smith, Joyner, Morsell, Gant, and Burns. The jumper from Joyner missed. Jack Clark is still out with the core injury. He's out indefinitely. So they have to continue to shuffle that lineup, and we'll get a foul on the floor as Monsanto trying to approach the paint.
Joyner, who missed that shot right there, he's on a hot streak right now. He has really picked up his scoring the last 6 ball games.
Foul on Smith. His first. Into Monsanto, who will launch. And Gant tracks down the loose ball. Smith, range from anywhere seemingly, knocks it down. Terquavion Smith, 6 points early, a good sign for the Wolfpack.
But his energy has really helped transform this North Carolina State team this year. They made them more aggressive offensively, and it's helped them defensively to create turnovers and play at a faster pace.
The ACC's leading scorer has come out on fire earlier. Hildreth missing the fadeaway, and the loose ball, Gant had it and then dribbled it off his leg out of bounds. And that, I'm sure, will not please Kevin Keats.
Coach Keats has done a tremendous job this year. Last year, they fell off. First time in his career he's had a team fall off like that. He's done a tremendous job at NC State. And the thing that he talks about this team is its resiliency, the way that it handles toughness in difficult situations.
Monsanto drills a jumper to extend the point total for Wake Forest, but they're still down by 3, 6-3 early on. By the way, the Keats improvement also in the ACC win total. Just 4 wins last year in the ACC, 6 so far, and we've still got a ways to go as the ball will go back over to the Demon Deacons off the miss.
Well, I can tell you last year really bothered Coach Keats. He's never gone through a season like that. He retooled his whole staff. He brought in some pieces that he thought he needed to do, and he dedicated the offseason to get this NC State's team back to prominence and to be in the bid for an NCAA tournament.
Hildreth will bring it down. Appleby trying to find some space. Crossover, 3 is good, plus the foul. Tyree Appleby. Wow.
I told you better hold on to your seats. These 2 guys have unlimited range, and their athleticism allows them to take tough shots and make tough shots. Look at that. Going hard off the dribble, pulling up behind the 3 and knocking it down. A lot of people say he reminds them a little bit of Allen Iverson, but I don't know if Allen could shoot with that kind of range, but certainly Appleby is an exciting player.
4-point play gives the lead to Wake Forest. Casey Morsell picks up the foul. And this is a game, Coach Clark, that you definitely have to be careful with if you're defending some of these 3-point shooters. The miss by Burns. Monsanto will pull it, but that's an air ball. Steve Forbes, the 2022 ACC Coach of the Year, had a refreshing talk with him earlier today, and he is keenly in tune with his club.
I tell you what, he's an incredible coach. I tell you, he reminds me a little bit of Bobby Crimmins, who I work for, in that he's so honest with his players. His players love to play for him. He comes from a very humble coaching background, has never forgotten his start from junior college and to where he is now at Wake, and he really enjoys being here.
A miss from Smith stays with the Wolfpack. And it's interesting talking to him about his team from a season ago, the team that's on the floor right now. This is a much younger team, not as much as experience, or as he said, not as calloused as the team from last year, but this team still has some room for growth for sure.
Well, I think one of the things they've done here at Wake is really develop players, and they brought the very best out of them, and that's Coach Forbes. I think he really spends a lot of time with his players individually, which allows him to push them on the floor.
One player who doesn't need a lot of development, DJ Burns, very effective offensively. Into the starting lineup post the injury to Dusan Mahorcic. Joyner will fire. The long miss, tracked down by Gant.
Derek, I think it's really important that teams kind of get into a rhythm. Right now, these guys are coming out throwing haymakers at each other, shooting threes and off the dribble. I think they got to settle down and really execute and run some really good half-court offense.
Monsanto all the way in with a layup attempt. Burns grabs a loose ball. Wolfpack have the numbers. Monsanto behind the play. Flip shot to the rim, no good from Smith. And they're able to dodge a bullet. Hildreth. And another turnover. The second of the day so far for Wake Forest. Morcell gets a step, drives and scores with the right hand.
See, I know Wake likes to push it, and Coach Forbes is telling them to slow it down. But Wake has a great half-court offense. They can't get away from that and get baited into a game with NC State just kind of running up and down, because I don't think they're really built for that as much as NC State is.
Loose ball foul on the way to Gant out of the timeout. 3-point lead for Wolfpack.
There you see a great drive right there and a big-time finish. NC State loves the run.
Derek Jones and Perry Clark back with you in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The defense of North Carolina State, one of the top defensive units in the ACC. And Perry, what have you seen out of their defense so far, and how has it impacted the Wake Forest offense?
Well, what they do, they put a lot of pressure on the ball. And because there's pressure on the ball, guys try to drive, and they do a good job of helping in the gaps. So they don't give you a clear shot to the basket, and it creates a lot of turnovers because of the pressure on the ball and their rotation.
Ernest Ross and Ebenezer Dewana into the game for North Carolina State.
Now, Wake will set a lot of ball screens, a lot of dribble handoffs to try to create confusion defensively.
3 to shoot for Appleby. Down to 2, fires it up. A little short. The battle for the loose ball taken by Smith. Joyner gets a step. Can't knock down the jumper. Grabbed inside by Ross. And the battle won by Ernest Ross will lead to a couple of free throws.
You know, Joyner has scored 19 points in his last 6 games, so he comes in here on a little bit of a hot lunch, and sometimes you can get excited because he's had 2 really good looks and it hasn't gone down for him, but he'll settle down. He's done a really good job of leading this NC State team.
Andrew Carr picks up the foul as Ross misses long on the first free throw attempt. Joyner has been on quite the run for North Carolina State. Over the last 6 games, 19 points per. And they're already strong offensively with Terquavion Smith. But Smith and Joyner, when they get going, very tough to stop.
And they are, and they play so well together. But sometimes when you're on one of those type of runs, you think everything you throw up is going to go in, and you rush yourself a little bit.
Hildreth couldn't get that one to drop. Tracked down by Joyner and the Wolfpack. Joyner will try it again. A little short. The control held by Carr.
See, I think it's really important right now for Wake to get aggressively offensively and getting some sort of action and movement.
That defense popping up again for North Carolina State. The floater the other way is no good. We'll have an offensive foul, so the basket will not count. And it'll be the second, picked up by Terquavion Smith, and he'll head out.
That's a huge foul right there. There you see him on the floater, and he goes in. Appleby does a good job of taking the charge. Sometimes you try to teach your young guys to go straight up, straight down. And guys like the floaters, Derek, but I'm telling you, a lot of times it can get you in trouble, especially in traffic.
It did there for Smith. He's got 2, and he goes to the bench. Scoring drought continues for Wake Forest. Missed on 6 straight, held scoreless for nearly 4 minutes now.
Again, Wake likes to use the ball screens, roll the big guys, and then try to dribble drive out of that.
Williamson, who's just into the game, shot clock late again. Hildreth fires from deep. It's an air ball, and that's a shot clock violation. So North Carolina State's defense, as we talked about, very stingy to start. 3 turnovers forced by the Wolfpack.
Well, what they're doing is they're keeping the ball out of the paint, and they're keeping the ball out of the paint by switching on the ball screens or going underneath the ball screen and then helping from the weak side. And if you can keep the ball from going in the paint, you eliminate a lot of things offensively teams like to do.
4-point lead for North Carolina State.
It's important right now for Joyner to step up, he and Marcel, to now take over some of the offensive because of the fact Smith is out.
Breon Pass is into the game to replace Smith. 1 to shoot for Joyner. Can't hit. Rebound by Ross. Ross hops in and scores. Ernest Ross with the righty layup. He's got 3.
And that's where he's really picked up his game. He does a lot of the dirty stuff. And I say dirty stuff. You don't call his number on a lot of plays, and he's still able to produce points for you.
3 from the wing is good from Andrew Carr. So Carr knocking down the triple. And that ends the scoring drought for the Demon Deacons.
Carr is really versatile. He can pick and roll. He can pick and pop. But he does a really good job of spreading the defense because of his 3-point shooting.
Morcell, long 3 over Monsanto. Can't hit. The rebound taken by Davian Williamson.
You know, Wake Forest is doing a good job in their half-court defense.
Monsanto, a long 3. Count it.
He's the type of guy you have on your team that wherever he shoots from, you just say, okay, get the next one, because he plays with a lot of confidence, and he really picks up this Wake team.
Averages most made 3s per game in the ACC. 3 per. 3 on the other end, no good. Tie game at 13. Great crowd on hand here in Winston-Salem. Williamson underneath. That contested by Dewana. Morcell wide open from 3. Tipped. Controlled by Davian Bradford. Appleby. Elusive. Scoop layup is in.
That's what you like about Appleby. He can play with different gears. They came down in transition. They didn't have a shot right away. He took his time. He probed the defense and wound up getting an easy opportunity for Wake.
After a 4-minute scoring drought for Wake Forest, 8-0 run for the Demon Deacons.
That's why Coach Forbes said, you know, he lets Appleby go. He lets him play at his pace because he understands how not only to score but also get his teammates involved.
A buzzer beater to beat the shot clock by Jarkel Joyner. His first points of the day. Back and forth we go. These are 2 teams that can fill it up from deep. Near turnover, but tracked down by Monsanto. He'll fire away and hit again.
Derek, this is like a heavyweight fight because they're getting their shots not out of the offense. They're getting their shots, both teams, off of individual moves. And both of these 2 teams have really good offensive sets and patterns.
Joyner trying to find some space. Can't against Carr, and a foul. Back and forth we go. 17-16, a lead for the Demon Deacons. This is the first game for Wake Forest since the passing of Billy Packer. A great on the floor for Wake Forest, but Perry also a broadcasting giant as well.
Without question, he was an ambassador for the ACC. He was an ambassador for college basketball. Saturday afternoons, you wanted to hear him and Al McGuire talk about the game. He did a great job when ACC was at its pinnacle, telling the story and making it personal, the relationships between player to player and player to coach. Unbelievable talent, unbelievable for the ACC. You can't write a story about the ACC without Billy Packer being a main part of that in the growth of this league.
A true giant in college basketball, was a fixture, calling the Final Four for years. That's going to be a huge, huge loss for the college basketball community, without a doubt. And
certainly we want to reach out to his son Mark, who does an unbelievable job, a great colleague, and it's a tremendous loss.
17-16 lead for Wake Forest. The miss by Terquavion Smith. And that's the thing about Billy Packer. So many people associate him with broadcasting. He was obviously a big part of the basketball program here as a player for Wake Forest, leading them to the Final Four in 1962.
I saw a tweet that said that Bones McKinney finally got his point guard back in heaven. And so, you know, Billy just did it's such a growth for this game. And the way that he did it, he made people interested in it. He cared about the players and could tell the story.
Appleby floats it towards the rim as he got it into the hands of Marsh. Williamson three, no good. Tipped around by Carr. We'll have a loose ball foul coming up.
You know, not to get off, but Wake Forest itself, this institution, how many schools, and it's not, has produced Chris Paul and Tim Duncan. I mean, two all-time greats in the NBA. And this community is really a very special one.
Terquavion Smith just picked up his third foul. He came right back into the game out of the timeout. And he is on his way back out of the game.
That's really tough right there. Coach was taking a gamble. You know, a lot of times you say, why do you play a guy that has two fouls? A lot of times it has to do with how you practice, what you think his mentality is, and certainly Smith getting his third really affects this NC State team.
Here's our women's college basketball quadruple header for tomorrow. Louisville is at noon Eastern. Then the 16th-ranked Duke Blue Devils take on 24th-ranked Florida State Seminoles, followed by number 15 North Carolina State and Clemson at 4, and number 12 Virginia Tech and Virginia cap the day. Should be another great afternoon of hoops on ACC Network and the ESPN app. One-point lead held here by Wake Forest as Appleby in the lane makes it a three-point game.
You're going to see NC State right now. They probably won't be in transition as much as they were when Smith was in the game, so they've got to go more to their half-court sets, which means getting the ball inside the Burns, trying to play inside out.
Burns. Floater, hook in. DJ Burns with 4.
He's a big, strong body, and it's tough to get him off the lane. He's always been a talented player, and right now, Coach Keats has gotten the best out of him.
Appleby with a lob to Marsh. Matthew Marsh getting on the score sheet for the first time today emphatically.
Well, now these two teams are settling in right now. They're getting shots out of their sets right now.
Burns can't get it to go, and a loose ball corralled by the Demon Deacons. In the lane, Appleby knocked to the floor and fouled. 3-point lead for Wake Forest. Lots of hang time. Marsh and the Demon Deacons out in front. Perry, what have you seen so far out of the shooting between these two teams?
A lot of individual shooting, almost challenging the other player. There you see Joyner knocking down a 3. There you see Wake coming back with another 3. Appleby right there out of transition, just penetrating and scoring. You haven't seen a lot of set offense or trying to get points out of their set stuff. Both teams have been living off of their transition and letting the guys go individually. I think this game is starting to settle down right now, especially with Smith being out, where both teams are going to have to depend more on their half-court sets.
If you're just joining us, Terquavion Smith, the leading scorer in the ACC, has picked up 3 fouls in this first half. Let's go back to the methodology there. 2 fouls, typically you hold a guy out for a long period of time, depending on the situation, of course. But what did you think there, bringing him back in so soon?
Well, again, I think you can go either way. I think it's how the mentality of the player is and what you're used to doing and how you handle those type of situations in practice. And certainly they felt he's played with that before and could handle it.
Burns turns left and scores. DJ Burns, so effective at the rim. He's got 6.
He's going to become a major factor, especially in this half. I think he and Marcel are the 2 guys that really are going to have to step up for NC State right now, scoring-wise. And I say that because of the fact that you're running good half-court offense. You can go through those 2 guys.
Corner 3 missed. And a rebound for North Carolina State. Burns, previously the Big South Player of the Year in Winthrop, before the transfer to North Carolina State, is Jarkel Joyner, and one on the way for Joyner to try to tie the game up.
You know, one of the things Coach Keith talked to me about last night and you today is the resiliency of this group. When you asked him what's the biggest difference, he just talked about their ability to pick themselves up and to come from difficult and handle difficult situations. This is certainly one of those today.
Joyner no good on the free throw. The foul was charged to Bobby Klintman. Still a 1-point game at 25-24. The matchup between the 1st and 4th ranked offenses in the ACC, with the Wolfpack at the top of the heap, averaging 79 points per game. Monsanto steps into a 3, draws air, right there on the spot though, but the contest after Klintman had a shot at it. But the Wolfpack defense coming up big once again.
One of the things with Burns, coaches will tell you he's an excellent passer. So when you can't really just go and double him. And as I say that, he turns it over.
Monsanto converts. So the steal by Klintman. Monsanto with a 3. He's got 11. Monsanto averages 12 points per game, and he came into this game with 62 3-pointers. He's added to that total today.
But that's the thing about this Wake team. I mean, they can come at you with a lot of different weapons.
Marcel, not to be denied at the rack. He's got 4.
Again, Marcel can do a lot of things in the half court. If you're looking at NC State right now, you're looking at the things that they're going to have to be able to do without transition and just running good half court offense.
The transfer from Virginia cuts it to a 2-point game. The feed down low, Monsanto, and that is going to be a goaltend against Casey Marcel. Good feed there by Klintman off of the steal, and Monsanto drilling the 3. The ability to take care of the basketball, that has not been a problem for North Carolina State as of late. They just had 2 turnovers in their win against Notre Dame.
Well, because they have multiple ball handlers that can make really good decisions and are good passers.
Burns can't convert. By the way, those 2 turnovers against Notre Dame, tying a program record set back in 1991. Hildreth, fadeaway J, count it.
You know, you almost count Hildreth as a post guy because he takes you down in the block and he really punishes little guards because he has the ability to use his body and shoot over top of him.
Second leading scorer on the team this season, averaging 13 per. DJ Burns, and 1 as he flexes.
I tell you what, he's tough inside, and he's giving NC State a weapon that they need here in this first half.
Coming up next, we'll take you to Atlanta for Duke and Georgia Tech, followed by number 24 Clemson taking on Florida State. And the quadruple header is capped off by Virginia Tech hosting Syracuse in Blacksburg. Big day of hoops on ACC Network. We're starting to get into separation season in terms of the ACC as teams continue to try to establish themselves as we make our way towards March. DJ Burns looking for .9. He can't get it. Stuck on 8. Terquavion Smith, if you're just joining us, the ACC's leading scorer, out of the game with 3 fouls. We'll get a foul here away from the ball against the Wolfpack. It'll be Casey Morsell who picks up his second.
One of the things Wake Forest likes to do is go into a horn set with their post guys and run cutters and offer the horn stuff or back cut the wings.
Monsanto at the line. Gets the front end of a 1-and-1. One away from a double bonus.
Monsanto has the ability when the ball hits the elbow of either back cutting or coming off of it for a dribble handoff for a jump shot. And he was held on the cut that time.
He's already got 15. The lead is at 6 for Wake Forest. They have been stingy here at home. 10-1 on the season. Trying to pick up win 11 in that category. Burns working down low. Lost the ball. Monsanto will fire. No good. Carr had his hands on it for a moment, but it got knocked away. Joyner into the paint. Tough shot, short. Burns. His follow is no good. Ross mixing it up, and he can't get it to go. Kept alive, though. Foul line, Jay. That's no good from L.J. Thomas. And finally, controlled by the Demon Deacons and Bradford.
Great effort that time by NC State on the glass, trying to take advantage of their size.
Hildreth tried to pick his way through the lane. How about Burns diving on the floor, tied up by Bradford. And the basketball will go over to the Wolfpack. Tremendous hustle by DJ Burns.
Derek, this game means so much. You see the way Burns played right there. Burns coming out of high school was a top 50 player, tremendous talent. He was even better musically because he was in the band there in high school, and he was being recruited musically also, but he is really a talent, and he's playing really well right now. They brought Bradford in right now to give him a little bit more of a physical matchup.
The touch from Burns, that's no good. I'd have to think, being a musician, in some way, shape, or form, that has to help the basketball game a little.
It does. He comes from a very talented family.
Hildreth splits the defenders, and he's able to draw a foul.
Now, let's talk about what Wake Forest is doing right here, because they are doing a really good job of controlling the game. They're getting the shots that they want. This is not normally the way that they like to play, just freewheeling and transition, and they're having to set up and go inside a little bit more. You see Hildreth right there, who's probably one of the most improved players in the ACC.
Hildreth good on the first. That foul was picked up by L.J. Thomas. That's his first. Clearly the surge in minutes and the surge in production. Talking to Coach Forbes earlier, so many people talk about the transfer portal and who you brought in, but you look at a player like Cameron Hildreth, that's a homegrown guy.
And he's improved tremendously, and that's part of this program.
He's got 4. Wake Forest, largest lead of the game, very active from the charity stripe so far. Here's Burns again. Burns turns left, tried to bank it in, too strong. Carr flies in for the rebound.
They're going to have to give him some cutters. Wake is just too good defensively just to let him back him down on every possession.
Joyner is called for a foul. It's number 1 on Joyner. And the trouble continues here for North Carolina State, who is already challenged from a depth perspective coming into this game. And the struggles continue with the foul situation mounting up.
And NC State really doesn't like to play zone, so changing the defenses that way is really right now not what they do. And so you just have to kind of weather through this half. This is important, minute 48 to go.
Monday night, the Huddle crew will have the exclusive reveal of this season's ACC football schedule. They'll break down each team and look at key weeks and specific matchups. Our coverage of this 2-hour special begins at 7 Eastern right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Morcell, he can't hit. The struggles continue for North Carolina State from the field. Just over 30% shooting in the first half.
And a lot of that has come from the fact that they've had to do it out of half-court offense instead of transition offense.
Monsanto with the drop for Bradford. He tried to dunk that one over Ross. Instead, it goes the other way.
Ross does so many things. He's a great rim protector for this NC State team.
Oh, we're going to get a technical foul here.
A little too much talking.
DJ Burns down there.
He can hold a conversation sometimes. It's just too much talking.
It'll be Burns along with Monsanto who pick up the technical fouls.
Monsanto's not bashful either in talking, so both of those two guys just trying to make a point instead of just kind of playing basketball.
It's interesting with Burns, you don't have a lot of offensive options out there because of the situation foul-wise with Smith. At least you're running out of consistent offensive options. So he has to be very careful out there. We'll get a timeout called on the floor. It will be called by North Carolina State and Kevin Keats. More in a moment. 9-point lead for Wake Forest. Derek Jones and Perry Clark with you today on the ACC Network. And here's a look at what developed here to lead to the double technical.
See, both of them are just kind of talking, and they both, have a point of view. I think one likes red, the other likes blue, and so they're just kind of talking it out right there. But then Monsantos comes out, and it looked like he was throwing up in a bucket on the side, so I don't know what kind of caused that. But, one of the things NC State, I think, has to do, I think they have to get Joyner more involved, and they got to get Morcell more involved, and not just completely count on Burns to carry him.
Burns with the kick. Joyner, top of the arc three, rattles out. Bradford with another rebound for the Demon Deacons.
Sometimes when your jump shots aren't going, Derek, you got to have some movement. You got to get guys coming off of action, whether or not it's staggers, pin downs, curls. Sometimes shooters need that action to get loose.
Appleby down to 10 to shoot. Going at Morcell. Hildreth with 5. Turns in the lane, gets blocked by Burns. 5 seconds left. Joyner with room for 3, connects. And that closes out the first half in a positive fashion for Kevin Keats' crew to cut it down to a 6-point game.
And again, that came out of transition, which is what they really like to do. NC State is absolutely lethal in transition, and AC Joyner burying that and cutting the lead.
Kelsey Riggs, Joel Berry, and Carlos Boozer on the way in a moment.
Guys, thanks so much. Welcome into this ACC Network Halftime Report alongside Carlos Boozer. I'm Kelsey Rigg. Great to be with you. And it is a 37-31 point lead boost for Wake Forest at the break. Want to start with what we saw from NC State, and Terquavion Smith goes out with about 8.5 minutes left. ACC's leading scorer, you know that's going to have an impact. So how did Wake take advantage of it?
Oh, they went to work, man. You saw Damari Monsanto got busy, had a huge first half. You also saw Tyree Appleby get busy. They were accounting for like 25, 26 of their first half points. They attacked the glass. They can also save their legs defensively by not guarding the ACC's leading scorer in Terquavion Smith, so they can use more of that energy on offense. Yeah, 26 of their 37 points in the first half those two guys had. On the other side of things, NC State, we know what Terquavion Smith means to this team, but he does have his running mate, Jarkel Joyner, who that was a big three to cut it to 6 at the very end of it. It's not just him, it's also DJ Burns. What'd you like about what you saw from them? Yeah, I think when you have your best player out, your leading scorer out, you go to DJ Burns. He's such a good passer. He's kind of a mismatch because he can score on the block, he can also get his guys involved. And I think depending how the second half goes, Joyner has to get more involved. He's got to put up more shots, be more aggressive, because in case Terquavion Smith gets his 4th foul, it's going to be on those two guys. And you liked the decision to put Terquavion Smith back in. That's a guy that you need. He does have 3, and you said you expect him to start. What's different for NC State with him playing with those 3 fouls right out the gate? Yeah, be more cautious. Obviously, he's your best player. You got to trust your players out there if you're a coach, and that's what Kevin Keats did out there. He just happened to pick up his 3rd. In the second half, maybe he goes zone a little bit to protect him a little bit so he can use his offense. They're down by 9 right now. They're down by 6 right now. So they got to get the offense going. You want your best player on the court. Meanwhile, speaking of hot, Wake Forest, they've been hot in the first half, getting it done. They've got a 6-point lead over NC State at the break. Coaches from across the conference will be on ACC PM, but Booze, NC State got a little work to do. Let's get it, guys. We'll see what they can do in the second half and what does Terquavion Smith have in store. As long as his running mate, Jarkel Joyner, keeps shooting threes like that, they might be okay, down 6 at the break.
Back in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Wake Forest leading North Carolina State 37-31 here as a part of reunion weekend on campus. And Perry, as we get a look at kind of how this game played out throughout the first half, foul trouble certainly dominated the storyline for North Carolina State's end. Without question. Without Smith being in the game, they had to change their game plan. He won't start the second half, so they're going to have to go with more half-court stuff. Meanwhile, for Wake Forest, Tyree Appleby leading the charge yet again. Without question, he's their leader. He's done a great job of getting other people involved. North Carolina State ended the half on 1 of 9 shooting from the field. The one was the buzzer-beating 3 by Jarkel Joyner. Well, because that came out of transition, and NC State is really good when they're in transition. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to have as much transition baskets as they would like in the first half. It will be Wake Forest basketball to open up half 2.
You know, that foul by Smith has a lot of effects. And so defensively, NC State's really going to have to pick it up. And as I say that, Appleby just goes baseline for a basket, but they're going to have to really do a good job in their half-court defense.
So Terquavion Smith starts the half with 3 fouls. He's in the mix on the floor. Ernest Ross will start the half instead of Greg Gant. Smith, floater with the right hand is in. He had a strong start with a couple of threes. His first field goal since then, he has 8. Hildreth trying to pick his way back towards the paint. Working against Smith, and he gets the shot to drop. Well, they wanted a flop there on the Wake Forest bench against Smith. They didn't get anything.
No, and I tell you, that's a tough matchup, Smith against Hildreth, because he's a very physical player, and he's always going to be driving it.
Hildreth with 6 now as Burns back to it. Trying to get to the left once again. The rebound to Carr. Ahead of the pack. Hildreth lays it in. Cameron Hildreth with 8. And he is slowly awaking offensively for the Demon Deacons. Smith cuts into the deficit. That was the largest lead of the game for Wake Forest before that three by Smith. Smith's into double figures with 11.
This is a tough matchup for Smith against Hildreth as he backs him in.
Beautiful feed to Matthew Marsh with the flush to extend the lead out to 9.
You know, although NC State does not play zone, when Hildreth gets the ball, they really got to zone up from the weak side to protect Smith.
Smith, still aggressive. He took it to Matthew Marsh, and that's good enough to draw the foul. That'll be the first on Marsh.
I was surprised he started. We got worried that he wasn't going to start the second half, and he did. And again, that's the confidence level that a coach has in his play and the relationship that they have with each other to be able to communicate.
Quavion Smith, who had that rough ball against North Carolina last week, played in the game on Tuesday night against Notre Dame. Meanwhile, the reason he's at the free throw line is because of the foul committed by Matthew Marsh. But Marsh inserted into the starting lineup, and what a find he has been for Coach Forbes.
He does a really good job defensively as a rim protector. He also does a really good job of setting screens and getting other guys really good looks.
You saw that graphic there. The 48 field goals, 40 of them dunks. So when he gets it, you know what's coming.
Well, he runs to the rim. They call them rim runners.
Burns, nice feed down low to Gant. Gant stuck back over to Burns, who drops it in. DJ Burns now with 10.
This NC State team just plays a lot more efficiently when Smith is in the game because everybody can kind of get back to playing the way that they like to play.
Hildreth on Morcell. Morcell gets the block. And the foul by Hildreth as Morcell was trying to make his way back down the floor. That'll be the second on Hildreth.
And that's a much better matchup, NC State, with Morcell on him as opposed to Smith. Morcell's a really good defender, physical player also, so he can give him some resistance at the rim.
That's the 7th block shot in the game for North Carolina State. They're 3rd in the ACC, averaging a little over 4.5 blocks per game. Burns spins, throws it up with the left hand. It trickles out down the floor. Hildreth trying to keep it alive. Monsanto will fire and hit.
Monsantos is on fire here today, and he just does a really good job of spotting up. He's playing with a lot of confidence. The minute he touches that ball, he's letting it go. You can tell when a guy has a feel.
Monsanto with 18. Smith, his floater is short, out of bounds. It will stay with North Carolina State. Confidence is not a statistic, but if it was, it would be on the highest levels for Damari Monsanto.
Well, without question, he's a young man that was at East Tennessee with Coach. He didn't even start and followed him over here to Wake Forest. And when I talk about Coach Forbes, I talk about his relationship with his player. Santos is a perfect example of that.
Smith fouled on the jumper, count it, and one for Terquavion Smith.
You know, it's hard to quantify how talented Smith is and how many wonderful things he does for NC State. He can get his shot going one-on-one. He gets it out of the system. He's just a very effective offensive player.
Missed the free throw. He's been busy in this game offensively when he's been on the floor. He only played over 7 minutes in the first half. He's got 14 for the game, despite the limited playing time early on due to the foul trouble. Appleby. Scoop layup, right hand, no good. Marsh right there with the tip.
That's our guy. That's our guy. He's in what they call the dunk spot. Every time somebody drives, he goes to the front of the rim. So either he can tip it in or they can pass him the ball and he can finish with a flush.
Marsh with 6. The lead at 9. Burns Goes left, throws it up with the left, spins off the rim, a March rebound. Appleby, the kick. Carr, and a foul coming up against Gant. And that will lead us into a timeout of the floor. 3-point shooting, active.
There you see Monsantos right there finishing with the three, is giving Wake the lead here in the second half.
Derek Jones and Perry Clark with you this afternoon. And Perry, Coach Forbes has had a lot of success with that transfer portal.
Well, he has, and one of the reasons why he has is because he spends more time investigating the player as a person than as a basketball player. He wants to make sure that they have a right fit. And there's a difference between evaluating talent and winning with talent. And if you want to win with talent, you've got to get to know them as people.
Appleby, the Florida transfer, has it here. Lost the ball as Gant, after the swipe by Burns, able to keep it alive for the Wolfpack.
They did a real good job of trying to ice the ball screen and forcing it to the baseline.
Burns down low, blocked by Carr. Joyner off the screen by Gant. Some people thought it was a foul. No whistle. Down to 4 for Burns. Turnaround shot, up and in.
You know, that shot went in. Burns is having trouble finishing because instead of just shooting the ball with the natural basketball follow-through, he's trying to spin it. And that's why a lot of his shots has been in and out or spun around the rim.
Appleby. Looking for a little help. Carr in, and that's going to go the other way.
That's where Carr really likes to operate. He's very dangerous catching that basketball on the elbow right there because he can shoot it and drive it. He's a very versatile player, and that time they got him for a push-off.
The transfer from the University of Delaware, picking up his second foul of the game. It's a 7-point lead for Wake Forest. Joyner, who's been mostly held in check, over to Smith. It's been a little bit of a different story for Smith. He's gotten going offensively, despite that miss, as that ball heads out of bounds. But Perry, he has not been able to pick up an assist. He's one of the top players in the ACC sharing the basketball. He's been held in check in that department.
Well, what's happening is the bigs aren't able to roll because of the size of Wake Forest. And so he winds up being able to get in the paint and elevating over the guards.
Pump fake by Morcell. His three is short. Monsanto getting the loose change for Wake Forest. Appleby looking for some assistance. Backdoor feed to Carr. Lays it up and in, plus the foul.
That was just really good basketball both ways. NC State was playing great defense. They didn't let Appleby penetrate. They cut off the people he could pass to. He didn't want to make a bad pass, so he takes his time, waits, and finally Carr says, okay, I'm going to help you, and gives him a back cut and is able to get a three-point play out of it. That's really good basketball both ways.
Great patience by the ACC leader in assists. Carr able to finish off the three-point play, the lead back to 10 for Wake Forest.
You know, Appleby has just done a tremendous job leading this team. And sometimes leadership is not always about scoring, but getting other people involved and allowing your team to play at a pace.
Burns with that shoulder shake launches a jumper and scores to add to his total.
In the last two shots he's taken, he's shot the ball. He hasn't tried to spin it. He shot it with follow-through, and that's been a difference for him.
Burns with 14, the lead cut to 8. Appleby, room for 3. Gant rebound. Burns back to it again. Trying to go with Bradford. Stuck. Fires it up. No good. Gant. Offensive rebound. Double clutching. Can't score. Still kept alive for Gant. He can't get it to drop. Burns and one.
NC State has been relentless on the glass. Coach Keith has talked about their resilience. That's the way to be resilient when your best player gets in foul trouble, to find other ways to be successful. And they're doing it right now, pounding the offensive glass.
DJ Burns and the Wolfpack back in it. Tonight at 9 Eastern, after our men's basketball quadruple header, the Nothing But Net crew will break down the day in the ACC with highlights and analysis of all the men's games and look ahead at the best games on the schedule in the coming week. That's coverage you can only find in one place, right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. 53-47 lead for Wake Forest, but DJ Burns with 16 points. He has taken 20 shots in this game.
And that's really not his game. He's not really kind of built for that. I think for NC State to get out of here with a win, Joyner and Marcel are going to have to knock down a couple baskets for them going down the stretch.
And Joyner picks up a foul. Joyner had 28 points in the win against Notre Dame going back to Tuesday, but he has been limited so far. He has 8 points off of 3 of 11 shooting.
Well, both Joyner and Marcel are both good shooters. They're good offensive players off the bounce. And normally late in game situation when the defense gets tight, that type of skill set gives you an advantage.
Hildreth against Gant scores.
They've done a pretty good job on Hildreth today as far as not really letting him wreak havoc against their defense.
He has started to wake up offensively. He's got 10. Burns and Smith, they're doing the heavy lifting offensively for North Carolina State. 2 more for DJ Burns.
And the more I say, that's really not what he's built for. He keeps scoring, but, you know, the one thing that has helped DJ, a lot of teams have put him in ball screen situations, which has created problems for NC State a little bit defensively. Wake is not doing that because that's not part of how they play.
Hildreth, reverse layup is good. Cam Hildreth, the England product, getting loose to add to the lead for Wake Forest. Burns banks it in.
Now he's starting to shoot the ball with the good follow through. Instead of spinning it, he's following through with it just like he would out of his jump shot.
Burns putting the team on his back. He scored the last 5 field goals here for North Carolina State.
This Wake Forest team, though, is really balanced.
Catch and shoot 3. That's good. Davian Williamson, the driller from the corner.
But I love it. Appleby watched the whole floor. He wasn't trying to force anything. He got the ball to the open guy and got a basket.
Burns turns left, turns right, and adds in 2. 22 points for DJ Burns.
And he's shaking his head like saying, you better put somebody else on me.
Burns started the season coming in off the bench, but injuries have forced Kevin Keats to reshuffle the deck, making Burns a necessity in the starting lineup.
And the reason he was coming off the bench so that they could get more productivity out of him.
And a foul on the floor. And this will be against North Carolina State, and if it's against Smith, that's his 4th.
That's a tough foul right now. He's telling coach don't take him out, but he's got to take him out. You like to trust your players, you like to listen to them, but sometimes the fact that you are experienced and know a little bit more than they do, you've got to make what's best for the team.
Well, the other end of this is, when do you bring him back?
Probably around the 5-minute mark. So if you can handle about 4 or 5 minutes, then you just got to let him finish.
The drive, and we'll get a foul here coming up off the attack by Bobby Clement.
You know, the problem with Smith is he only knows one way to play, and he plays all out. He's a really good defensive player. You know, he picked up his foul trying to help.
Air ball. That's corralled by Morcell. Let's see if Joyner can pick up the scent in Smith's absence. But Burns at it again in the lane, and he's fouled. He'll go back to the free throw line.
Now, the decision Wake is making, we're not going to run at him. And so they're letting him go just one-on-one with Marsh and living with whatever happens. They're afraid to double him because that will open up Joyner. It will open up the three-point shooting, which is what Coach Forbes does not want to do right now with the Wake defense.
Burns no good on the first. This has been a struggle for him. He's now 0 of 3 from the line.
It's almost been like a chess match for the two coaches.
Missed the second. Seven-point advantage for Wake Forest. Appleby whips a pass down low to Marsh. Marsh didn't attack Burns, kicked it out. 5 to shoot. Down to 3. Williamson can't convert. Joyner with space. He hits.
That's what he likes to do, and that's what he's capable of doing. They're going to need some of that to open up and break down this Wake Forest defense a little bit.
Joyner in double figures with 10 and a lob to Marsh.
That is caused because there was a lack of secondary rotation there. Burns had to step up to handle the penetration, and nobody put a knee on Marsh so he couldn't explode.
Burns adds in 2 more. DJ Burns with 24 points. Season high for Burns, a 5-point lead for for Wake Forest as North Carolina State continues to go into chase mode.
And State hasn't really hit Wake Forest with a lot of their pressure. They normally try to double the ball sometimes.
3 is no good from Williamson, loose, tracked down by Gant. Joyner banks it in. Jarkel Joyner cuts it to a 3-point game.
That's the pace NC State likes to play at. Transition, easy baskets at the rim.
DJ Burns with the best game of his Wolfpack career, Perry.
Well, right now, you see him right there. He's squaring up, he's able to finish, he's flexing, and the difference between the first half and the second half, you see him right there. He follows through on his shot. He's not trying to spin it. He's not just looking at angles. He's finding the defense. He's aggressively going after the basketball, and he's exploding and finishing at the rim.
Burns with a career high versus a D1 opponent. 24 points, 8 rebounds, 24 attempts. That's one of the interesting numbers. Also, another number to note here, he's trending towards 30 minutes in terms of playing time. That is not something he has done a lot during his playing days.
No, that's why he needs that break right there, and that's why I said that Joyner and Marcel are going to have to wind up helping NC State if they want to close the deal here.
Another lob, grabbed by Klintman. He gets swatted by Dewana.
Dewana is a really good rim protector. And I tell you, I'm really impressed with this NC State team, the way they've been able to hang tight and play and get back in this ball game.
Joyner to tie it up. Jarkel Joyner has tied this game up at 62. He's got 15.
But now look for Wake to settle things down. They do an excellent job running good half-court offense. They're going to look to try to get Hildreth driving the basketball.
Hildreth against Thomas. Turns left, gets blocked again. Dewana got him. That's the 9th block of the day for the Wolfpack. Joyner. Oh, Joyner can't touch that ball. He does, and it's a travel.
But that's okay. That was a smart move. You'd rather have that turnover than a transition basket going the other way. Really smart play by Joyner.
62 all. The top 8 in the ACC. Clemson atop the league with a 9-1 mark, but third place on just a 1-game spread between those teams.
Let me tell you something. This game is extremely important. Both of these teams know it. Both of these coaches know it. They're playing like it. It's been an exciting game. And right now, you need to dial up Monsantos. He had a heck of a first half. He's been a little quiet here in the second half.
7 straight for North Carolina State. They've made their last 8 shots. Appleby, who has 6 assists in this game. Carr, shot clock down to 3. Hildreth, step back jumper, and that will be a shot clock violation against the Demon Deacons.
NC State plays tremendous gap defense. There was no place for Appleby to penetrate and create a scoring opportunity for anybody else. Joyner's really quick on the ball. They've got really good size on the perimeter, and they just really stop driving lanes. And now Burns comes back in the game after getting a little bit of a rest.
The last time North Carolina State led in this game was around the midway point of the first half, and it was 16-15 Wolfpack. Burns going left, throws it up and in. DJ Burns gives the lead to North Carolina State. He's got 26.
Coach Forbes may have to send somebody at him, at least to bluff him and make him think that they're coming, to pick up his dribble a little earlier. He's getting too deep right now on Marsh on his catches.
Appleby into the lane, missed it. Carr right there with a follow. 10 points for Carr. We're tied again, this time at 64. Burns, double team. Open, Thomas 3, got it.
He's such a really good passer. That's one of the reasons I said they were going to have to run somebody at him. That's the danger of it, because Burns is really a great passer. But you can't let him just stay in rhythm and continue to do what he was doing.
Hildreth, tight defense again. Falls off the rim, Burns with a rebound. That's his 9th.
And I tell you what's been so impressive. Everybody will tell you this NC State team is great in transition. They've had to slow this thing down, and they've had to waltz tonight, and they've waltzed pretty well. Morcell
missing the 3, Carr with the rebound. So that double is coming at DJ Burns. And we'll see how many open shooters continue to drift. Another bucket for Monsanto. The 2-pointer cuts it to a 1-point game. He's got 20.
They got to dial his number. He's the hottest guy in the gym from the perimeter. The NC State has not had an answer for him. They've got to continue to get him some looks.
Monsanto with 20. Morcell, catch and shoot. Got it.
I told you, Derek, Joyner and those 2 guys have got to be the guys to get him out of here.
Whoa, back down the floor. Carr is knocked to the deck, but we get a whistle. It is tight down the stretch in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Wolfpack up by 4. Here's our women's college basketball quadruple header for tomorrow. Louisville meets Syracuse at noon Eastern. Then it's number 16 Duke taking on number 24 Florida State, followed by number 15 ranked North Carolina and Clemson at 4. And then number 12 Virginia Tech and Virginia cap the day. Should be another great afternoon of hoops on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Speaking of great hoops, this game here between North Carolina State and Wake Forest. It's a 4-point lead for the Wolfpack. Derek Jones and Perry Clark with you this afternoon from the Joel. And what a game it's been, in particular in the second half, as Carr knocks down the free throw. North Carolina State in this second half has been buoyed by DJ Burns in particular. And when you take a look at the scoring depth, it's just been those guys carrying the load in the second half.
Yeah, NC State has to do a better job on the glass, though. They gave up an offensive rebound on a foul shot. They've been hurt on the glass a couple times. They really need to clean that up.
Morcell picks up his 4th. So Morcell and Smith each with 4. They're both out on the floor right now as Appleby tries to cut into the deficit.
You know, you hate to work like heck, get a lead, and then give it up at the foul line. Especially when you've been playing such really good half-court defense.
Appleby 82% on the season from the line, knocks down both. He has 15. Free throw shooting, a storyline to track as we head down towards the finish line. 15 of 18 for Wake Forest. North Carolina State just 2 for 10.
They've got Burns kicked out a lot further now. They're just going to let him go one-on-one.
Burns throws it up and in. DJ Burns, 28 points. He's feeling himself with a 3-point lead for the Wolfpack.
He's going to that left hand, and that gives him an advantage. But that time, Wake decided that they weren't going to come off of anybody.
Appleby got a step, and that leads to a whistle.
You know, NC State likes to pressure the basketball. Sometimes when you know a team's in attack mode, you got to back off your ball pressure. And I thought Joyner that time maybe could have backed off the ball pressure knowing Appleby was looking to attack.
Bonus time for Wake Forest, 1-on-1 situation.
You know, Derek, you're making twos and you're letting them go to the foul line and get easier looks, and you've got to make it off of your sets and things. That's not the way you really want to play this thing. And so NC State has to not foul and make Wake Forest earn what they get.
Second one from Appleby. 1-point game, 72-71 Wolfpack. 2 minutes left to go. Burns. We know how this movie has ended throughout the second half, and now this time it's a foul and a pair of free throws for Burns.
And this is where Burns has been a little soft on the foul line. It's really important now that he locks in and knocks down these foul shots, because again, Wake is not going to come and double him, because the NC State has shown that they've got some shooters out there, and if you double them, they don't want to give up a 3 late.
Burns, a 65% shooter from the line. Now 0 for 5 today. A woeful 2 of 11 from the line are the Wolfpack. Burns gets one there. Two-point game.
Look for Appleby coming off of some sort of ball screen action.
Appleby, the drive. Burns got a piece of it out of bounds. Back over to Wake Forest.
Watch this out of bounds. They like to run this out of bounds.
A timeout called on the floor. Back to it from Winston-Salem in just a moment. Wolfpack leading by 2. 73-71 lead for North Carolina State. Derek Jones and Perry Clark with you. 1:37 left to go. Coach, what do you think they're drawing up in the huddle?
And the timeout was taken. They like when Appleby takes the ball out. They like to flash one of the bigs to the corner. Appleby can come back and get the ball and look for a jump shot or a drive.
Turnaround shot by Monsanto to tie it up at 73. Damari Monsanto with 22. A foul has been called against Monsanto, and that will result in a 1-and-1.
This is you see the big popping out. They look for that, but they got Monsanto coming off the other curl from the other big, which is an option on that play. And now Burns goes back to the foul line.
1-and-1 for DJ Burns. Gets the first.
He has had himself a day today. And I tell you what, he's played extremely well on both ends of the floor.
Gets both. A lead for the Wolfpack of 2. A 31-point performance, a career day for DJ Burns. Appleby, baseline drive, and he's fouled.
They did a really good job. What they do is they raise the bigs, and instead of him going off of an elbow ball screen, he goes to the baseline, and because they raised the bigs, there's nobody there to kind of help on the drive.
Foul is charged at DJ Burns. That's his fourth. So 3 players now with 4 for North Carolina State. Coming up next, we'll take you to Atlanta for Duke and Georgia Tech, followed by number 24 Clemson taking on Florida State, and the quadruple header is capped off by Virginia Tech hosting Syracuse in Blacksburg. Oh, a miss off the second by Appleby.
Look for him run exactly the same act.
Joyner. Under a minute left to go. Burns. Shot clock to 10. Burns against Monsanto. The kick, the deflection. 4 to shoot. Smith in the lane. Bangs it in!
Unbelievable. Smith on the drive. Did you see the way he handled his body and elevated at the last minute?
Body control personified. 2 timeouts left each way, and Steve Forbes will use one of them.
Unbelievable action that time. They wanted to play through Burns. Burns recognized Smith, got him the basketball, even though it was only about 4 on the clock. Smith is able to drive the basketball right here. Only a special player can do that.
The leading scorer in the ACC. Impressive yet again, 16 points for Terquavion Smith despite the foul trouble, getting it done for North Carolina State. And as we head down the stretch here strategically, what do you see here from Coach Forbes? How does he utilize the final 29 seconds here?
Well, you know, I think obviously the ball's going to be in Appleby's hands, and he's going to have the ability to recognize what type of shot that they can wind up taking. But I expect them to go with some sort of high ball screen and play off of that.
Wake Forest is the only team this season to put a dent into Clemson in the ACC. The lone loss for Clemson is courtesy of Wake Forest. But when you look at things getting tight, it's been up or down in those games decided by 3 points or less.
Yeah, I've been saying this all game. Monsantos is a guy that's had the hot hand, and he's got to be involved in some sort of the action here. And with the matchups the way they're going to be, Smith will probably be on Monsanto's because you don't want him on Hildreth because Hildreth is probably going to drive the basketball, and you don't want him picking up his fifth against the driver. You'd rather him playing a jump shooter than a driver.
Appleby. Over to Monsanto to tie it. Missed it. Marsh with the rebound. Kept alive by Carr. Appleby can't hit from deep. A rebound grab by Jarkel Joyner and a foul. What do you think there?
I thought it was Wake Forest did a great job of executing. I think they got the shot that they wanted. I think they even got a second shot. I was concerned about NC State defensive rebounding because of the team that they had on the floor without Burns, but they were able to come up with it, and now you've got one of your better foul shooters going to the foul line.
Third foul for Andrew Carr. Joyner 83% from the line, gets the free throw to drop, and that makes it a 4-point lead with 11.4 left to go.
You hate to say this, but it's a shame either one of these two teams will lose. But I tell you what, for NC State to be able to handle the adversity that they've had to handle here, these are the things that make championship teams and NCAA teams, because you have to be able to go through the fire, and you have to be able to build on that fire to allow yourself to get better. And they've certainly been in the fire today because this Wake Forest team has come ready to play.
Coach Forbes, when we talked to him earlier, said his team has to find a way to grind these kind of games out. North Carolina State has been able to find that answer on the other end. Monsanto will launch a deep three. That's no good. Bouncing around, controlled by Carr. He'll fire from deep. That's good, but the game is over. North Carolina State hangs on to defeat Wake Forest by 2, 79-77. In large part thanks to a tremendous performance by that young fella. DJ Burns, 31 points in the win. A 2-point victory for the Wolfpack. They improve their mark in the ACC to 7-4.
It's a tremendous game, tremendous win for NC State. They'll be able to build on this. Both of these two teams have got a lot of basketball ahead of them, but you got to take your hat off to DJ Burns and Coach Keith, the way he kept his team in this ball game.
Kelsey, Joel, and Carlos back in the studio in a moment. Have a good one, everybody.
From the studio, alongside two former national champs, Carlos Boozer, Joel Berry, I'm Kelsey Riggs. Great to be with you. And good stuff from NC State, coming back to win that one and hanging on with all kinds of players in foul trouble. Joel, what was it about what you saw from NC State in the second half that really made the difference?
DJ Burns was the difference. He was unstoppable catching the ball on that block, getting to that left hand. He has such a nice touch. With Terquavion Smith on the bench and having DJ Burns be that initiator, he was getting it done. And the one thing I love about him is that you can't double team him because he can pass the ball. It was all DJ Burns in the second half.
Yeah, all DJ Burns. He was so dynamic. Obviously, Terquavion Smith gets his fourth foul. They start going into DJ right away, and he just operates. Left hand, back down, hook shot, finding his shooters, made clutch free throws at the end of the game, too, to kind of give Wake too much of a distance to get back. DJ Burns!
31 points for him and 9 rebounds, almost had a double-double. Terquavion Smith still had 16 points. And cool nugget on him, he's scored 10-plus points in every game this season.
Wow.
First NC State player to do that, so congrats to him, even with the foul trouble, still making a difference. Welcome back into Nothing But Net. Some sad news to pass along from earlier this week as the basketball world and our ACC network family lost a legend. Billy Packer passed away this week at 82 years old. He was the voice of the NCAA tournament for more than 30 years. You take a look at some of his other accomplishments. No way we could fit them all on just one page, but here are a couple of them. He played for Wake Forest. He played in the Final Four for Wake back in 1962. He began broadcasting games in ACC basketball in 1972, and then, as mentioned, broadcasted 34 consecutive Final Fours from 1975 to 2008. Certainly thinking about the entire Packer family throughout the week, and as he is honored throughout college basketball. And he was honored today at Wake Forest as they hosted NC State. You see pregame, Wake Forest honored him laying a photo and a headset right there on the bench. We take you to the game now. Terquavion Smith dealing with some foul trouble early in the first half. Wake tried to take advantage of it. Tyree Appleby leading the way for Wake. Contested step back three, draws the foul. A confident shot from him. I guess that's what happens when you're one of the best shooters in the ACC so far this season. But how about his running mate, Damari Monsanto, drains the three from the logo. Game tied at 33. Then a minute later, Appleby again, Joel.
He is so hard to stop. He has so much wiggle to get in the paint. He was huge for Wake Forest today.
4 minutes in the first half, DJ Burns lays it in, gets the foul, flexing on him afterwards. NC State still trailing. How about Jarkel Joyner? Knocks down the three-pointer before the half. Joyner and Burns keeping NC State in it without their leading scorer, Terquavion Smith. And then, second half, DJ Burns. He's fighting for this one, Booze.
Hey, big fella was getting busy all night long, had a career high. You'll hear more about it in a second.
Wake Forest trouble there. You see Terquavion Smith, though, he gets his fourth foul of the game. That's trouble for him as well. Begging for the bench to let him stay in, but got to be careful. DJ Burns doing his thing on the inside, works his way. He's becoming unstoppable in the second half. NC State down 5, ensuing possession. Jarkel Joyner in transition, he lays it in. NC State trails by just 3 now, 6:37 left. NC State down 3, Joyner knocks down the 3, Joel. We got a game.
We got a game. Joyner is so big for this team. Him and Terquavion and Smith are back in the backcourt are dominant.
And then when you got Burns doing that, it is hard to stop, but Wake Forest going to keep knocking him down. Monsanto, the jumper, game tied at 73 again. NC State leads by 1, 40 seconds to go, and Terquavion Smith, there's a reason that he's the ACC's leading scorer. Foul trouble, no trouble here with this one. Comes up clutch. NC State with the 3-point lead, under 30 seconds to go. Wake Forest looking to tie it up. The three's no good. The rebound they get, Tyree Appleby. Contested. So close with 13 seconds left. Can't get it to fall, and NC State holds on to win 79-77. How does it sound in the locker room? Good stuff from the Wolfpack. I'm supposed to read this full screen, but I just want to know if you can hit that little Wolfpack moves. Okay, maybe later on the show you got to stick around for that one. How about DJ Burns? What we saw from him, 31 points for DJ Burns. He's the second NC State player since 2010 to have 30 points, 25 field goal attempts, and 50% from the field in a game. Congratulations to him. And it was a career day for DJ as well. And now we welcome in the man of the hour, DJ Burns, with us now. Congratulations, fresh off a career performance, those 31 points. And I hear you're also fresh off a trip to ice cream with the team, but our guy, he's got discipline. He said, everybody else can have ice cream, I don't want it, not after a performance like that. DJ, what do you do to celebrate if you don't get ice cream?
Sure, just hang out with my guys, man. We about to go back to the city and we'll regroup after a little nap and go from there.
I like that mindset, DJ. I hear that the fans in there were pretty wild and kind of giving it to you, but you seem to feed off of that energy. What was working for you tonight?
Honestly, they didn't double team until late, so I tried to take advantage of that as early as possible. But yeah, I definitely feed off of the fans talking, so I don't know why they would keep doing that.
DJ, what's up? This is Booze, man. Congratulations on a great game, career high. Great job dominating the paint. My question is, I know they're talking about ice cream. Y'all on a little bus ride. That's cool. What you gonna do to celebrate your game tonight? You gonna get some ribs, baby back? What you gonna do tonight?
No, I'll probably go down to Emilio's do the grilled chicken salad that they got up there, and then we'll celebrate in other ways. But shoot, I'm gonna just enjoy it. Chill out tonight.
That's good.
DJ, what's going on, man? Congratulations again. I just want to know, you got the stadium, they're passing out glasses. Just tell me, how has the school embraced your type of personality and who you are?
Oh, man, they welcomed me in with open arms. These guys, they treated me well since the time I got here. The fans really feed off of it, and we try to make it, the best environment to get them guys lit again. I know after last year, they didn't have much to look forward to, so we really want to make it work for them this year.
DJ, I got one more. So who are you bumping before the game? Because whatever you was bumping today, you got to bump that the rest of the season.
Oh, man, D Herbo, easy. That's my favorite artist. I listen to him for every game. I got a playlist with nothing but him on it.
I like that.
You mentioned y'all's play, and we were talking about how good everything was for you. And DJ, when Terquavion Smith goes down early with those 3 fouls, has to come out the game, what was the conversation like in some of those huddles about what you guys needed to do to get back in that game and get out front?
Oh, man, our coach, he did a great job today. He really told us to stay focused. He told us to don't panic at all, don't be timid, go out there and do everything that we do in practice. This is what we work for every day. So he told us every time, even when we were down 12, we're going to win this game. And we started to believe him, and we turned it up a little bit.
That belief goes a long way, and you could see you guys turning it up a little bit. And we also see you're on the bus ride home. I know they didn't make you sit by the bathroom after a career high, right? I see the wall right there. Are we just getting away from everybody? Like, what's the scene like on the bus right now?
Oh, man, they're going to turn the music back on right after we done. But I sit right here because it's got 3 seats, and I just like the space to myself.
There you go. There you go. You get to pick wherever you want to go, whatever you want to eat, whatever you want to do, because what a performance that was. 31 points, a career high. I know that was a special one for you, DJ. Congratulations. These guys have been loving watching you play this year, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Ryan. Sure.
Good stuff there from DJ Burns and from NC State. They've won 9 out of their last 11 games. This team seems to be trending in the right direction. How about also the discipline from him? No ice cream. He's having a grilled chicken salad after the win. That's how you eat and celebrate after wins?
I mean, when I played, I used to eat pretty healthy. Not so much now, but when I played, I was pretty healthy too. Very impressive, man. I mean, listen, they outscored him. He was dominant in the post. They picked up a teammate that had foul trouble. They stayed together as a team. I like what this NC State team is doing. They got a great backcourt. They got a dominant big who also loves to pass the ball, and they got pieces around them. This is a team that could go on a run in the ACC tournament and make some noise in the NCAA tournament.
And this NC State team is battle tested. They have some guys that have been tested. They've been tested as a team. But then you look at the way Terquavion Smith goes out the game. Then you have Jarkel Joyner steps up. You have DJ Burns steps up, and this is the type of production that you want. And like DJ Burns said, you do what you do every day in practice, and then you take that from practice and you implement it on the court. And that's what they're doing. They're playing defensively, they're playing offensively. This is just a well-rounded team. And going into the ACC tournament, NCAA tournament, you got to have that guard play, and they do have that.
And it was good to see the way that they responded, not having Terquavion Smith in for as long as they did, as he had to keep going to the bench. Didn't like it. You saw in that highlight, he still managed to have 16 points, y'all. He is the first NC State player to score double figures every single game in his first 22 games.
Wow,
I mean, impressive stuff. You mentioned the backcourt. They definitely have it with him and Jarkel Joyner. On the other side of things, Wake Forest. They've now lost 3 in a row. This was a big opportunity for them, Joel. What went wrong?
It was a big opportunity for them. They just, down the stretch, they didn't make the plays that they needed to. NC State was a lot better. And as we've seen from these games, you have to be great down the stretch. There is no room for error, and Wake Forest just didn't make shots. They had the opportunities. They got a great look at the end of the game for a 3. It just didn't go down. But those are the type of plays that you have to make in the ACC play to be able to win these types of games.
Yeah, Joe hit it on the head. These games are going to come down to the last 2 minutes, all going to be close. Who can take care of the ball, get good shots. They actually got 2 really good shots to try to make this again at the end. But NC State came away victorious. They had a dominant post player who didn't need ice cream.
Did not need the ice cream. Apparently, it's working for him. NC State moves to 7-4 rather, in ACC play. These games so important in that middle of the pack because they are all so close, separated by just one game.